Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you. The Icy Grip of Death by Corwyn Patterson, as told to Charles Mills. One Sunday, my family decided to go to the beach to take an early morning swim and fly kites, an Easter tradition in our home. We left about 7 o'clock and arrived at the beach 45 minutes later. I was eager to dive into the blue foaming sea. I was working toward my swimming honor for Pathfinders and needed to practice several strokes. We walked along the shore until we found the perfect spot. As we ventured into the ocean, it felt surprisingly warm. The waves seemed a bit forceful even though their strength diminished before they got to the beach. Falling in line behind our father, my younger brother and I waded through the water until it was about waist high. It felt great on our skin and made us glad that we lived on the island of St. Kitts, a dot of land pushing itself above the Caribbean Sea and Atlantic Ocean near the U.S. Virgin Islands. After wading a little farther out, I got ready to start practicing when, without warning, my father sank into the water. He splashed back to the surface and shouted, "Stay where you are!" What is happening? I wondered. The next moment, it felt as if someone had pulled the earth out from beneath my feet. As I struggled toward my dad, I tried to touch the ground, but I couldn't reach it with my toes. I'm a good swimmer, I thought to myself. This isn't a problem. I'll just head back to shore. But soon a sickening realization hit me. I wasn't getting anywhere. I was struggling just to stay above the surface of the sea. Something was pulling me down, pulling me under the waves. Then I noticed the water around me beginning to spin. My father and I were caught in a strong, fast-moving whirlpool. I dropped below the surface, forced down by the unrelenting power of the sea. My Sunday morning swim had instantly changed from a happy time with my family to a struggle for survival. As I began to sink again, I reached out and grabbed hold of my father's neck, and we were both sucked under. Everything was spinning, spinning, spinning. When my father's feet hit the sand, it broke my hold on him. I was dragged away. He managed to grab me, and I held on with all my might, but with me clinging to him, we kept being pushed down under the waves again and again. This is it, I thought to myself. I'm going to die right here and right now. Who would have guessed that my life would end at the very beach where my baptism had taken place just the day before? My mother, a devout Seventh-day Adventist, had taken me to a series of evangelistic tent meetings, and I decided to give my life to Jesus. It was just yesterday that I followed Evangelist Norman down to this crystal-clear beach, I realized. With church members singing from the shore and family smiles lighting my way, I'd stepped into the breakers. As friends and curious tourists watched intently, 7 others and I died to sin under the waves. That was death number 1, I thought. Now am I about to face death number 2? Same water, same sun, same warm breezes. But this time, I wouldn't be coming back up, lifted by the strong, kind arms of my pastor. No, this time the powerful sea had me in its icy grip and wasn't about to let me go. That's when I remembered what I had learned about death. I knew I would simply go to sleep and then, in a moment, hear the trumpet of God calling me awake. I'd see Jesus in the clouds and float up to meet him in the air. Suddenly, I no longer felt afraid. No one else knew my thoughts that morning. My father was too busy trying to stay alive. My mother stood on the shore, shouting to my oldest brother. "Daddy and Corwyn are in trouble!" she screamed. "Help them!" My brother, a strong swimmer, dove into the water. When he reached us, he tore me from my father's neck. Little by little, he moved me away from the whirlpool toward the shore, fighting the violent currents every inch of the way. I could feel his strength and relaxed a little, allowing him to move me to safety. When I was out of danger, he returned to help my father. After a struggle that seemed to go on for hours, we were all back on dry land, gasping for air, thankful to be alive. I still get chills thinking about that day I almost died a second time on the same beach. The first death had been a joyous occasion filled with singing and smiles. The second death would have been filled with screams and tears. But dying in Jesus, whether by baptism or a violent ocean whirlpool, ultimately brings the same result: everlasting contentment. I thank God that the first death I experienced taught me how to face the second.
The story you have heard today is from Guide's Greatest Stories, written by various authors and compiled by Randy Fischel, and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.